As Donald Trump continues to try to intimidate Americans by using the military to occupy major cities, and as that strategy continues to backfire on him, he is in meltdown. Trust me, when you see this, you will have hope. Welcome to Occupy Democrats. I'm David Reddish. In case you tuned out over the weekend, Donald Trump had a rough one. And if you are a regular viewer of our show, remember to subscribe to our channel if you haven't. If you are a regular viewer, you know that President Taco continues to try to turn the military on his own people. Last weekend, we saw that in the city of Portland. Trump tried to deploy the military, but a federal judge had something else in mind.
U.S. District Court Judge Karen Emmergit's temporary restraining order yesterday was clear. The deployment of Oregon National Guard troops to Portland is unlawful. But she didn't say anything about the California National Guard, and now President Trump is sending those troops in. California Governor Gavin Newsom saying this morning that Trump has ordered 300 members of California's National Guard to Oregon. It comes just a day after Judge Emmergit temporarily blocked the president's plan to deploy members of Oregon's National Guard to the city. The Trump administration says the National Guard is needed in the city to help protect ICE agents as they carry out their work in Portland and to help battle Antifa and domestic terrorists. So far, no comment from the California National Guard or the White House. The judge's ruling on Saturday sided with Oregon's Attorney General Dan Rayfield, who argued the protests in Oregon were not significantly violent to require the military. She said that Trump's perceptions were, quote, simply untethered to facts. The Trump administration is appealing that ruling, and Newsom said he plans to sue the Trump administration to stop the deployment of his state's National Guard to Oregon. And just within the last hour, Oregon Governor Tina Kotek, Portland Mayor Keith Wilson, and Attorney General Dan Rayfield all calling the president's actions today flat out wrong.
What was unlawful yesterday is unlawful today. What was unlawful with the Oregon National Guard is unlawful with the California National Guard. The judge's order was not some minor procedural point for the president to work around like my 14-year-old does when he doesn't like my answers.
We've worked really hard in the state of Oregon from 2020 on to have better crowd control techniques. There are clear laws of when you can be using tear gas, for example. We're not following any of those. We're also hearing that they're having social media influencers on the rooftop filming. They are clearly trying to antagonize the crowds. They are antagonizing folks who are there to lawfully demonstrate, and that's got to stop.
So before we get to the bigger news, we need to unpack this. Over the weekend, a judge blocked Trump from sending the military to Portland. Trump then responded by trying to send the California National Guard to Portland over the objections of both California Governor Gavin Newsom and Oregon Governor Tina Kotek. As a side note, the same judge who ruled against Trump's use of the military was also disgusted to learn he was trying the same maneuver in Chicago. Judge Karen Emmergit, a Trump appointee, has already expressed her disgust. So in other words, while Trump continues to flounder in his strategy, everyone is getting more and more annoyed with him. And that goes for the American people, which, given the special elections coming next month and the midterms next year, should really have Trump on edge. This morning, CNN offered a bit of analysis on how Trump's attempted urban takeovers have colored the public perception of his presidency. And it's not going well. Now, there's a lot to unpack in this clip, so stick around.
CNN chief data analyst Harriet, who just made a lap around the entire studio.
I don't know what that was. I guess they're thinking I need more exercise.
You showed up here at the wall at the exact right moment. What's public opinion saying right now about the use of National Guard troops, the deployment into cities?
Yeah, it's a political loser, John. It's a political loser. Donald Trump may think it's a political winner, but it's a political loser. Oppose Trump deploying in a U.S. city, active duty U.S. military, 61%. The National Guard in particular, 58%. When you get 3 in 5 Americans agreeing on anything, you know if that is on the opposition side, it's a political loser. And among independents, who are, of course, that key block in the middle of the United States political electorate, we're talking about 2/3 of independents there and about who oppose the deployment of either active duty U.S. military or National Guard into U.S. cities.
What are the questions that people are asking, or what are the issues they see with these deployments?
Okay, look, I think it's that they don't buy Donald Trump's case for why these troops must go into the U.S. cities. So the New York Times essentially gave you a two-pronged Little answer here, right? Trump may use the National Guard to intimidate rivals, or big city crime will spiral out of control if the troops don't go into cities. What you see here is the majority that takes the case is that Trump may use the National Guard to intimidate political rivals at 51%. Just 42% of Americans agree with the Donald Trump stance that, in fact, big city crime will spiral out of control if the National Guard doesn't go into U.S. cities. So essentially what we're seeing here is Donald Trump's making a case, the Democratic opposition's making another case, and the Democratic opposition's case is winning here, and that is a big reason why what you see is you get about 3 in 5 Americans saying they don't want troops going into U.S. cities.
You have another really interesting way at looking at this. President Trump seems uniquely focused on Portland, on Memphis, on these cities and crime there. What do voters think he should be focused on?
Okay, so if you saw the opening slide on this segment, right, it was, has Trump taken his eye off the ball? The American people believe, yes, John Berman, Donald Trump has taken his eye off the ball. There is too much focus on putting troops into U.S. cities. 52%, the majority of Americans agree that the Trump admin is focusing too much on that. Where do they want him to go? They want him to focus on lowering prices. 75% say there's too little focus on lowering prices. This is the reason that Donald Trump was put into office, was to lower prices. And at this particular point, 3 in 4 Americans say there is too little focus. Donald Trump is focusing on the wrong things, and they don't like the way he's going about it. And this, my friends, will tell the entire story if it holds a year from now, going into the midterm elections. If the Republicans lose control of the House, dare lose control of the Senate, it will be because they believe that Donald Trump has lost focus. He is not keeping his eye on the ball, and they believe he is not focusing enough on lowering prices.
Interesting numbers coming out on prices and inflation and the economy this week. We'll have much more to talk about.
I think we will have much more this week, Mr. Berman.
Harry, and thank you very much for that.
So here's my question. Do you suppose White House aides are currently playing rock, paper, scissors over who gets to tell Trump that 3/4 of the American people think he is doing a rotten job of lowering prices? And that they don't want him sending the military into American cities for photo ops for ICE recruitment videos either? More than half the military feels the same way. I feel awful for anyone that has to tell Trump as much, though frankly, I'm not sure anyone in the White House actually has the cojones to do so. My guess, and this is just a guess, is that Stephen Miller and Russell Vogt are the two who are pushing this strategy, and that Trump is in bed with a Big Mac somewhere. Thus, the clock continues to tick, and I have to wonder, which alarm will go off first? The alarm where Trump fires Vogt and Miller to save his presidency? Or the one where the public so turns on the Trump administration that it sends all these twits packing? Couple that with the way the public blames Republicans, rightly, for the government shutdown, and Trump is in a very dangerous position. And it's only Monday. Needless to say, we will keep you updated on this story as it continues to develop, as well as all other breaking political news. This is Occupy Democrats.